What's going on, you guys? Welcome back. Last video we started work on our 93 GMC. Got the front end off, got the core support out, grill, bumper, basically everything off the front of the truck. I also went ahead and straightened up our frame rail, so hopefully it is pretty close to where it's supposed to be now. And everything will line like it's supposed to once we start putting this truck back together. But today we are going to get the engine out of this truck. Now, I already came out here earlier this morning. I have got a bunch of parts on the ground right there. I got one of the headers out, the exhaust is out, transmission lines. I've got throttle body, some of the ignition, starter. Pretty much everything is unbolted. Motor mounts are undone. 4 out of 6 transmission bolts are out. Torque converter is undone. All I have left now is to get the 2 bolts at the top of the transmission, which are loose already. I got 3 bolts left in our passenger side header. So once that is out of the way, we'll go ahead and get the cherry picker up over the engine, get this thing out. I want to get it on the ground. Start removing some of the wiring as well, clean up a lot of what's in there. And for some kind of instant gratification, I'm going to go ahead, get some parts swapped over. And we're going to go ahead and drop that in the frame rails just to see what it looks like. Kind of see, get a little bit more motivation. Now, I know it's going to be pulled out again, but a couple will set in there, get a couple bolts in it just to get an idea. Maybe even start trying to, well, let's not get ahead of myself. Right now, go ahead and get the rest of the stuff undone off this engine so we can get it out, get it on the floor, and let's get to it. All right, engine is out and on its little rollers. Actually have it sitting over here waiting to be put underneath that shelf over there, and, waiting its turn for me to get back to it to put it in my other truck. Now, I've also gone ahead and removed the inner fenders as well. Also pulled the wiring harness for the fuel injection through the firewall. It's rolled up on the floor in there, and then pulled most of the factory harness up and over that fender. You got our underneath the fender, it's all going that direction. That way I can go ahead and kind of cut open the loom, figure out what wires I want to keep and what wires I want to get rid of. Like I said, I want to get rid of most of it. We're just going to make all this as simple as possible, but like some of the factory plugs for the lights and stuff like that, I do want to keep, as well as maybe a couple powers. So that's where that's at. Now, here's what we've got. Went ahead and got our engine on the engine hoist. We're gonna go ahead and start putting it in here, made it up to that transmission. Also, I want to show you guys that I went ahead and changed out the engine mounts. I was originally gonna use the factory clamshell ones, but these ones here you can see are just destroyed. Now, I know they have little inserts you can buy to like remove these. You can drill them out, put in the neoprene inserts, stiffen it up a little bit. But I also had a set of solid mounts, so I went ahead and pulled the factory mounts off. And for any of you that have ever changed engine mounts on these trucks, know that most of the time you got to pull the control arm to get up to these bolts here, because the nuts, well, they're open, right? There's nothing holding them in. You got to get a wrench or a socket up in there. Then you got to have somebody or something hold back up on either end, and it just makes it a really big pain in the butt. So what I did was I just took a Mark went this is an 1.5 hole. I used an 1.5 hole saw, and all I did was go straight down and line it up to where the top of the hole saw was just underneath the roll of the frame. Drilled it out. That way you can use your wrench, get up there, there you go, you can move it and hold back up. You can put the nut on the end of the wrench, hold it in place while you start your bolts, so makes life a lot easier. Like I said, I want to try to make this thing as easy to repair, easy to fix. So here's our mounts that I'm using. Now 2 of the holes line up and this is already bolted in. I'm going to go ahead and leave this top one out. What I'll end up doing, if I like these, is I'll drill it out and then bolt it to the top, and then I'll go ahead and weld up the holes on the frame that we're not going to use. We'll smooth it out. So, but I don't want to make any more holes in the frame till I'm sure I like this setup. And another thing, I kind of get sidetracked a lot. So my original plan was we're going to pull everything out of this truck, get it all cleaned up, and then repaint the firewall white. But I also have this neat little wrap that I want to do on the truck as well. And once I sprayed the white on the firewall, it didn't really look like I wanted. I wasn't really quite happy with just the white. So I found some red. And you guys just saw the spots in the background as I'm swinging around. So here's what we got. So we're going to use this color red to jam it. I like this color red. It really stands out. It really says wow. And I think it'll go really good with this wrap that I want to do on the truck. Now this is just a test piece that I bought, and I was gonna figured now is a good time to test it out. And I think it'll go, I actually think the truck will look really cool. That wrap all the way back. And I think jamming everything, painting the engine compartment, that color red would really go with it. Especially after I will get the glass tinted, and we'll go ahead and get those kind of the dark background headlights, not as maybe a slightly smoked, kind of black it out just a little bit more. That's my plan with this truck, kind of make it grab your attention. So just want to have fun with it, make it fun. So anyways, get you guys set up on the stand here. Go ahead and start sliding our 5.3 into place. We'll get it set on the mounts and see how it fits, see how I like it, see if we got to do anything else to help get this thing to clear. So let's start putting it in the truck.
Style is the answer to everything. A fresh way to approach a dull or dangerous thing. To do a dangerous thing with style is what I call art.
The engine is finally in the truck, and I gotta say it looks really cool in there. Definitely since I put the here, let me show you. Definitely since I just set the intake back on top there, and I think everything's gonna look really good once we get the whole engine compartment painted this red. Definitely gonna be awesome. Gonna be a fun eye catcher for sure. Now, as I was putting this engine in, I only actually really ran into one issue, and that is the motor mounts I decided to use. Let's see if this one will pick it up. But you can see there, I had to slot the holes just a little bit because they weren't really exactly meant to be used with the LS engine adapters. So just had to oval them just a little bit. I mean, it wasn't a whole lot, maybe 1/8 of an inch per side. Just slot it over. After I did that, bolts went right in. So that is really the only major issue I ran into. If you're wondering, this is the original 4L60E that was in this truck when it had the V6, right? And I had the big block in front of it. That little transmission it's still kicking. So unless I really got in it hard with the big block, it did just fine. Probably because I do have a TCI transmission controller for that transmission. I bumped up the pressures, and every chance I get, I made sure the lockup was on, because if it wasn't on, I would boil that thing. So, but transmission bolted right up to the engine, no issues. Still using the factory flex plate that came on the 5.3. Factory torque converter that was behind the V6. Yeah, worked great with that big block, I know, right? I didn't have a whole lot of money, and I figured, you know what, it's either gonna work or it's not, and it worked. So, but it's in there, plenty of room. It'll line up with this flex plate. The only thing it needs is this little adapter right here. So when I pull everything apart, I'll make sure to put this in. Other than that, everything behind this engine lined up without a problem, which has been awesome. So yeah, at this point, I can go ahead and start going through the wiring harness, cutting out what I don't need, get this thing up in the air and start. We'll start here and we'll come up all the way around, bring in the exhaust down in through that side there, so we can start mocking up our turbo kit. Try to do it as cheap as possible. I actually have a plan for this turbo kit. Run it for a little bit, but I have a plan for this. It won't stay on the truck forever. So anyways, I need to start cleaning up. My goal was just to come out here this morning, finish getting this thing tore apart, get that big block out, and get this junkyard 5.3 back in its place so we can see what we need to do. And I've already started writing it down on the windshield there. But anyways, you guys, I'm excited. It's looking really cool in there. Like I said, I gotta start cleaning up. Fortunately, I gotta go back to work now. Wish I could just stay here and do this. But anyways, thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Questions or anything, leave them down in the comments. I'll try to leave links to those engine mounts. That way you got them. And of course, I'll leave links to little things as we go along. But anyways, thank you guys again for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Share with your friends. Continue to help me grow this channel. So, again, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you on the next one.